we bought not one, but two of the most unreliable BMWs on the market, so you don't have to. And today, we're gonna be wrenching on both of them. Two 2008 BMW 550i's. This particular car has a 6-speed manual, a great spec. They're both the same color exterior, but this one is really more of a parts car. We actually bought this one to take the wheels off of it, the 172Ms, and along the way, we're gonna see if we can get it running. It seems like it hasn't run in about 8 years. Both of these cars have the N62 B48 motor with 360 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. If you compare them to a 2008 Mustang per se from the same generation, I believe the 4.6 only had about 300 horsepower. So for a naturally aspirated V8 from their time, it's actually pretty solid. From a reliability standpoint, not so much. And you're gonna see some of that in today's video. Let's get to it. In today's video, I struggled to start a car. Brake shit as usual. Is that a fire? All right, so what we're gonna do now is show what's going on with the parts car. So we actually bought this guy for the front fender initially for this car before we knew about some of the other damage, which we'll probably show in a future video. And then also the wheels, because these wheels are kind of hard to find and pretty sought after. The tires are shot, but we got that figured out. But anyway, we bought this car and basically it was advertised on Facebook Marketplace as not running, clean title, but it'll start on starter fluid. So went through a pretty deep diagnosis on this to try to see if we could just get it running. So maybe we got a running car for $2 grand. And my first thought was, well, if it starts on starter fluid, then it's got to have spark. So it must be a fuel related issue. So the first thing we did, and I'm sorry I didn't get clips of all this, but basically I got it torn apart right now and I'll explain here in a second. But first thing I did was pull the seat off. And as you can see there, the fuel pump on this car is brand new, which wasn't immediately a bad sign because I knew that meant that somebody had been working on it for a long time. So first thing I tried to do was just start it. Obviously the car didn't start. It just wanted to crank and crank and crank. And I did not think the fuel pump was actually working. So what I did was grab the voltmeter and there was not 12 volts getting to the fuel pump. So the next thing that I did was checked the fuel pump fuse, which is in the glove box here. And sure enough, the fuel pump fuse was blown. I think the fuse is actually right here. So yeah, you can see that that 20 amp fuse was blown. So I placed that fuse, checked. We still did not have 12 volt power at the fuel pump. So the next thing that I did was replace the fuel pump relay, which was a good indication because initially when I was trying to turn the car on, the fuel gauge was not displaying that there was any fuel in the tank, which I think was a clear indication that there was some type of a problem. The only code, I'll flash it now, was basically related to the DME. And I was like, well, the DME could potentially have a problem, but I'm guessing let's just try to get power to the fuel pump and see what's going on there. So next thing I did was replace that fuel pump relay with the fuse and with the relay fixed. The fuel pump was powering on. We were getting 12 volt. I could hear the pump activating. So I came around to the front of the car to check pressure at the rail. Under this cover, which is just setting on here for right now, you can actually purge the fuel at the rail if you see right here, and that's where you hook up a gauge. So purge that, and ultimately no fuel was coming out there, dry as a bone. So I was like, okay, well, fuel pump's running. How is it not getting to the rail? Is there fuel running out on the ground? I couldn't find any fuel anywhere. So the next thing I did was check the regulator. And so what happened was basically whomever initially replaced that fuel pump wired the regulator, didn't get the snap-in connector all the way in, and it actually blew off. And so there was basically every fuel issue there could be. There was a bad fuse, there was a bad relay. They thought there was a bad pump, so the pump was replaced. This was not connected correctly. So once I got that connected, then I went over and I purged the rail, and sure enough. So I went into the car, tried to start it, and ultimately the car still would not start. It would start for maybe a second or two, and then it would cut off, and then it would just crank and crank and crank and not even really try to start. So the next thing I did was I started cranking it, and I walked around the front, and I noticed a huge problem. And I'm glad the car did not start, because basically where this fuel line connects to this braided hose here that goes to the rail, this connector was not tight. Basically, these pipes are some type of metal or aluminum, and they're coated with a thin layer of plastic. Well, that plastic had started to peel, and it kept this connector from going all the way in, and ultimately there was a huge leak here that was running kind of right on the exhaust, so pretty terrible there. Once I fixed that, I knew I had fuel pressure, because when I would crank, none of the fuel, or lots of fuel, I mean, if I hit this, it would spray and it would hit the hood of the car. So I knew for sure, had good fuel. Like I said, spray a little bit of starter fluid in there. The car would fire for a second, sounded pretty good, and then it would die. So the next thing that I did is I started doing a little Googling on the forums. I actually pulled a Carfax for the car, and that's when it started to tell a little bit different story. So the last time this car ran was back, I believe, in 2019. I'll show the record from the Carfax so you can see it, but the last time the car ran was 2019, and it had the exact same mileage as it did now. That's how I know it was the last time that it ran. It's never driven, I mean, it could have theoretically run, but it's never driven since that point in time. So it may have even been 2018. So 6 or 7 years the car has not run. Nobody's been able to figure out this problem. But the last record on the Carfax, the car was actually repossessed from the previous owner. So what I think happened is this car went to auction after it was repossessed, and it went to auction with no key, because the key for this car was super shiny. And what I think happened, or what I know happened, is that that's where all the problems started. Everybody tried to diagnose a fuel issue. They had no idea what they were doing. They screwed everything up along the way. And I know that what we need, or I'm pretty confident, fingers crossed, you're gonna find out same time as us, that what we need to fix this car is in this box right here. So basically, after doing a little bit of Googling, some people mentioned that the DME, which is basically the ECU in BMW terms for these cars, can be problematic. And so if maybe they jumped the car wrong, or the DME got wet or something like that, that could potentially cause the car to start and not run. So I reached out to a company called ECU Pro, and I'll put their link in the description, even though we're not sponsored in any way. And I reached out to them, told them about the issues. They said, yes, we've seen that before. That could be what it is. It was $400 to send the ECU out and have it remapped if that was the problem. It was $150 for the diagnosis. Well, as it turned out, they sent me an email, and the DME that you see right here was actually not throwing any fault codes. So initially I was kind of upset by that. And then I read farther through the email, and I figured out what I think our problem was the entire time, and the reason why this car hasn't run for a long time, and that's why I told you that whole story. Basically, what happened is this key is brand new. So I'm guessing that this car got repossessed from auction. Somebody got a brand new key. This key was not properly programmed to this CAS, and so the car had an immobilizer. So I don't think it ever had a fuel issue or anything like that. That was just people trying to figure out what the problem was, when really it was just syncing the key with the CAS. So they ended up only charging us $150. We're about to pop this stuff back in, and we're about to see if it gets the car running. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is take this cover, and this is already partially disassembled because I had to get this DME out to send it, and I have a clip actually of taking the DME out that I'll probably include. But this is just the inverse of that process. I just busted that tab off because for some reason it was stuck, and it's old BMW plastic. This little slider comes off of here. Peel the trim back. This guy is not connected, so this should theoretically just lift up. And then basically the DME on this car is stored under here, and it has these Allens. I forget how big they are, but I'm gonna grab the tool so I can take this off. We can plug the DME in, and then we'll put in the CAS module, and then fingers crossed, hopefully the car starts. Take this cover off. For the record, we do have the battery disconnected. Probably a good idea if you're doing anything on your DME. All right, slide that to the side. Pick this guy up. Now, I think as far as plugging this guy in, it's kind of all really self-explanatory here, because I think everything only goes into one particular spot. This one's got to go there. So yes, I do have to start completely over. There we go. This is much easier in the correct order. 4 and 5. Push it down. Now there's the cover. Lock in, and then you got the screws. Honestly, I think I'm probably gonna test. Nah, it's gonna work. I was gonna say I was gonna test the car, but I'm like 99% confident that it's gonna start. Whether it runs decent or it's got a million other problems, like a transmission issue. I know that the brakes are super soft, so I don't know if the ABS pump is even working. Don't know if the transmission's good. But so far, all we did was buy a battery, a fuel pump relay, and spend $150 diagging the DME and reprogramming the CAS, so it's super cheap. Very happy with that. All right, so that's back on. Put this cover just back in here generically for a minute. Just enough to where I could theoretically start the car. That cover up here. Get that all fastened up here in a minute. Now the next thing we have to do is the CAS module. This is the CAS module for the E60, which lives underneath the dash here. It's basically the immobilizer. It's what syncs with the comfort access for the key. A lot of the older keys had it too. But it lives underneath the dash, and I will get it properly put underneath the dash, but for right now, that's to a light. Here's the plug for it. I think it's all the way up in there now. Now I need the bolt, which lives here. These things are so hard, aren't they? These upside down freaking under dash goddamn things. Okay. I just want to see if the car will want to start. Okay. Now let's connect the battery. Oh, this is an exciting moment, babe.
It's gonna start.
Hopefully, as long as I got everything hooked up right. There's power back in the car. Hey, the key actually works now. We should definitely be tightening this more than finger tight, but let's just see if we're gonna have to take things back apart. Just hooking the battery charger up here to give us a little more kick. And then I think we want maybe a little bit of starter fluid to just give her a little life. You think she's gonna start, babe?
Yes.
I hope so. fucker's been a lot of work. This fucking thing. Did I tighten this? I really got it. There we go. All right, give her a little bit of love there. See if basically that's on here real ghetto right now. That's okay. All right. Think it's gonna start?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Thing's still not starting, is it? I was almost sure it's that DME. We have that plugged in properly because it's wanting to lock and unlock. I can tell you the battery's getting weak. Car's in park. Let me give it a little bit of more starter fluid. I thought it was just gonna fire right up. I got kind of cocky. I thought it was just gonna fire right up. Shit. This video is gonna be a lot easier to edit if I don't cuss every other word. Okay, here we go.
Should I do it?
Oh, it's okay. For now, let's just give it a little bit like that. We may have to get some jumpers on it off the other car, but let's try to give it one more go. All right, we're just low on battery. Pull the truck in so we can get a little bit of a jump going on here. Kind of upset that it didn't start right away, but it's good right there. Get the jumper cables out. Jumper cables. Let's get these hooked up. Can you pop the hood? Babe, can I get a wave? That's it? All right. Aaliyah? Can you please hold this? I don't know where you're running off to. You want to make sure these are touching when you hook the battery up so you can get a nice weld between the two of them.
Why don't you try it?
It's been one of those days. Tried to smoke myself with an ozone machine today. Probably ate some rotten chicken. Tried to cut my finger with the knife. So that would be fitting. We're gonna need that truck running too. Okay, there we go. Now we're hooked up at least. Here, let me get this untangled. Okay, it's just gonna have a nice little U shape in it. Whatever. All right, let's give her a little bit of starter fluid. You want to spray your cables first? Just kidding. Okay. All right, what do you think? Is it gonna start?
Start. I'm gonna drive it to work tomorrow.
No, you're not. There's a lot more work to be done. Okay, hang on. It's cranking now, but it is not starting, which is not good. I thought I had this figured out. Oh yeah, we got fuel pressure. Well, we've got fuel. It's old fuel, but we've got fuel. It's not even starting on the starter fluid, which was starting on the starter fluid before, right? Let me see, did I tighten that? Here, I've got a flathead screwdriver. Why don't we do this properly? Spray the actual throttle body directly. Let's try this. Open her manually there, give her a... All right, now, even if the fuel system's not working, if the computer, CAS, and all that stuff are working, then it should want to start.
Oh my God, it started!
No, it didn't. It's the same thing it's done a million times. It still doesn't want to start. We've gained nothing. We've gained absolutely nothing. It still doesn't want to start. I wonder if I don't have the CAS module plugged in properly. I'm going to check that. I'm going to check and make sure I've got the CAS module plugged in properly. Climate controls are not coming on, which I feel like they were before. You don't think there's anything in the DME that I didn't plug in properly, right? Because the climate controls aren't coming on. Ran for a minute, huh? All right, try to start it again. All right, now try it. All right, hang on. This is, let me run this side of it. Ready?
It's running! We're gassing out our freaking garage.
The car runs. Not well. We got to let our garage air out and then shut our garage door. Concern now is that obviously the car's running. Totally looks like it's going to need valve stem seals because it's smoking like crazy, but this looks pretty good. I don't know how well you can see in there, but the oil doesn't look that sludgy. I just don't know how much oil's in it. So I don't know if I should add just a little bit of oil or something, maybe. Actually sounds terrible, but It's got a crazy ass custom exhaust, doesn't it?
I know, I thought it was like the muffler was. I'm gonna sound like I live on the res.
Well, it runs. But I think we should do
Some fresh gas.
fresh gas
And a
and
little bit of oil.
spark plugs and an oil change. And where's all the smoke up from under the hood coming from?
I feel like it's from that starter fluid.
This fucking car runs. It runs. It runs, and it'll start right now.
We did not think it was going to start. They couldn't get it to start for 7 years.
Yeah, they couldn't get it started for 7 years, and we got it running. I mean, it is the worst running BMW I've ever encountered, but it doesn't sound that bad. It's got oil in it because it's not like tinging really bad. That actually, it's misfiring terribly, but it doesn't sound that tingy. And I'm trying to figure out like what kind of crazy exhaust is on this thing or something. Like it just sounds wild. Like it's very deep and very throaty. It looks stock. It looks stock. I kind of want to move the truck and see if it'll go in gear. Like move under its own power, like if the transmission works. Do you want to check that real quick?